Hey guys, so for this video, I'm going to cover some helpful tips to place higher and make money in these weekly solo cash cups. Now, I know I'm gonna see some comments that say,
"But Jerian, how can you give advice about winning cash cups when you've never won any yourself?"
while that may be true, that's also exactly the reason I'm going to be analyzing players that have. These include solo gods like Khanada, Benjyfishy, Bugha, Unknown Army, and Wavy Jacob. All of them have won at least one solo cash cup in Chapter 2, and 2 of them have won the most recent ones. Anyways, literally everything I bring up or cover is something I've learned from one of them that I know for a fact will help out all of you watching. So with all of that in mind, let's start with by far the most important tip for placing well: keeping a positive mindset. As most of you who've played in these cups know by now, they are incredibly frustrating. You go in confident, having just watched one of my videos, and ready to make some easy cash. Then, after a game or two, your luck goes to crap, and everything goes wrong. You're suddenly unable to find any shield, your builds start not placing where you want them to, and you die. Next game, you can't find a shotgun, and again, you die. That process continues until you get to the point where you haven't gained any points in the last 5 or so matches. This is where half of you guys, including me in the past, would just give up, while the other half would continue to throw away games and blame RNG. If that sounds eerily familiar, then don't worry, because that happens to the best players in the world as well. The big difference between you and them though is that they're able to finish out strong and place in the money. How do they do that? Well, it all comes back to what I just said before, and not tilting or thinking negatively. Way too many people start off their cash cups poorly or go on a bad loss streak midway through and immediately think their tournament is over. What they don't realize though is that one big win or a couple of consistent matches will put them at the top of the leaderboards. A perfect example is Mongrel's recent 10th place finish, where he won the first game with 8 kills and then had 6 or 7 bad games in a row. Still, he didn't tilt or give up. He maintained a positive mindset and ended up winning his last 2 games. Had he raged offline or started to blame bad luck, he'd be $300 poorer and in a much worse mindset for future tournaments. Therefore, if you're gonna take away anything from this video, it's that you want to avoid tilting at all costs. That means not obsessing over your current points, not looking at where you are on the leaderboards, and actually taking accountability for your mistakes. Whenever something unlucky happens, go ahead and scream or call Fortnite trash, but do not let it affect your mentality. All you should be thinking about is your next game and what you need to do to win it. If you're out of games or out of contention, then focus instead on what you can do better in the next cash cup to score higher. The moment you lose sight of the bigger picture is when you start to doubt yourself and hold yourself back from becoming the best you can possibly be. So do your best to maintain a positive mindset and to not tilt. My next few tips focus around the format of the cash cups, which, if you did not know, work like this. Each elimination is 1 point. Placing anywhere from 16th to 25th is 3 points. 6th through 15th is 5. 2nd through 5th is 7. And winning is 10. Those points do not stack, by the way, meaning if you place 11th, you only get 5 placement points in total. On top of that, each cash cup lasts 3 hours, with players being able to play in 10 games at most. Lastly, you're put into lobbies with players at the same or similar point values as you whenever you queue up. Based on all of that info, a smart trick Unknown Army always uses is to wait 5 minutes before playing his first match. This may sound weird because you're wasting time that you may not have at the end, but it's for a very good reason. 99% of people will press the find the match button as soon as the cup starts because everyone else has 0 points. The thing is, many of the weaker or bad players will hot drop or do something stupid and die off spawn. Those are the players Unknown wants in his lobby, so he gives them time to go in, die, and re-queue in order to get into their next game. Another thing Unknown does is that he limits himself to 3 games per hour for the first 2 hours. If you've ever watched him stream a cash cup, then you've most likely noticed this yourself, himself, as he'll often just sit watching other streamers or do creative 1v1s in the middle of the tournament. I'm not even kidding, the man will be top 10 in points after 3 games, but will literally have Bugha's stream pulled up as he sits back and chills. The reason he does this is similar to what I explained before, in that he's hoping to run into not as good players. The more points you get in a cup, the harder your lobbies will become, because you're gonna be matched up against other players with a lot of points. Only playing 3 games per hour though will let other people catch up in points and prevent you from finishing too early. Side note, this is also why you should not give up after a bad streak of games. The less points you have from losing, the easier your game should be, and the higher chance you should have of popping off in them. The final benefit of only playing 3 games per hour is that it helps you to reset and to take a breather. These cups are ridiculously stressful and intense, regardless of how good or bad you're doing. Your opponents will make stupid plays, you'll make mistakes of your own, and since there's money on the line, it will affect you. Going off what I said before though, you cannot let it. That's why it's never a bad idea to stop playing for 5 minutes, get up out of your chair, stretch, and then get right back into it with a positive mindset. Moving on, I want to answer a big question I always get asked regarding cash cups. Should you W key or play for placement? Usually, I'd recommend everyone to play for placement because it's the much safer and easier option. But I think the best answer is to find what works for you. It's no secret that W keying is the most effective way to win these cups. Wavy Jacob, who's a pro from NA West, won back-to-back solo cash cups with 120 points each time, all from playing aggressively. Even crazier is that in the first one, 90 of his points came from eliminations alone, which was 10 points higher than the player who came in second. That means he could have won the entire cash cup with only his eliminations. What you need to realize though is that replicating his or Unknown's playstyle is basically impossible. If we could all go around 200 pumping people in the face, then we would. In reality, we can't, which is why I advise you to find what fits your own playstyle. Some people are just better box fighters and more aggressive, and they would be more suited to W key. Some other people may not have the best mechanics, but have great game sense and rotations. Those people should play for placement. You could even do a mix of both and find different times to W key. It doesn't always have to be one playstyle or the other. You can W key early and then play for the late game after that, or you can play the early game safe and start pushing people in the mid game once you have a good loadout, or you can go a step further and play completely safe, only pushing people when you need an impact frag or you got someone low. Please do not think you only need to play one certain way in game. Just because W keying will technically get you the most points doesn't mean placement can't also get you a lot. Tons of pros that consistently place well, like FaZe Dubs and Mars OW, only play for placement and then get kills in the mid and late game. So to reiterate once again, this is not me telling you guys to go out and W key. What I said is to find what works best for you and to do it. That could mean W keying, playing for placement, or a mix of both. You just need to try out each and see what you do best with. To finish up the video, I want to talk about the best way to improve for the next cash cup you play in. Weirdly enough, it's not playing scrims or arena or box fights. Those are very important and helpful, but not the most useful. What's number 1 is VOD reviewing. This is something I've talked about many times in the past, but I know for a fact, absolutely none of you guys do it. You either don't make time for it, or you think it's too boring. You all gotta realize though, VOD reviewing works. Khanada said himself, "I'm not even trolling when people ask how I got good at cash cups. I'm not gonna lie, I've never played a solo scrim, but VOD reviewed and that's it. VOD review with the best mindset and you will place. Directly from the cash cup king, VOD review yourself, VOD review other players that are performing well, VOD review absolutely anything. As long as you do it and you do it right, you will improve. My recommendation for learning how to VOD review is to start by watching people like Bala TW or Speedy Gonzalez. Take notes on what they do and then apply what you learn to VOD reviewing your own gameplay. I know that may sound generic and boring, but it's seriously the best way to get better. So if you want to start taking Fortnite seriously and start placing well in these cash cups, you need to start VOD reviewing ASAP. There's simply no excuses not to. Overall guys, that's everything I learned from the best cash cup players in the world. So if this video helped you out or you learned something new, then do be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and to turn on post notifications. Shout out to all these awesome people using code itsJerian. I did forget to say thank you for 500k. I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart, and I hope we have an amazing 2020. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Later.